Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's talk about this video. We've got Paradise Reunion tapes today, taping right now. 10 a.m. Pacific to 8 p.m. Pacific. Maybe it'll run late. Taping right now. So we don't have any actual spoilers of what's happening, but we're going to have those. My assumption is they'll be rolling in throughout the day. As those come in, we'll try to hold on to some of them, and I'll talk about them on tonight's Bachelor Rush Hour podcast. But don't worry, if you don't want to hear the spoilers, you can click out of this video. Same thing with the podcast. If I'm going to talk spoilers, I'll give you plenty of advance notice. So if you're spoiler free, you can still be a part of both communities. But right now, you're going to want to go. You're going to want to go right now. We're going to get into it at DNeals on Instagram is where you can find me for my stand-up show updates, and also patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm going to be going live right after this at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time on the Patreon. Private bonus content over there. I've got the full wedding video. I'm going to have more wedding content. It's just starting to come in. A ton of wedding content. I'll share with you guys today on the Patreon the photo booth photos that we're all taking. I'll share some of those with you guys. And also, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for leaving kind comments for Bachelor Rush Hour, the new podcast we launched this week. Link in the comment section to find out where to listen. That's completely free. Huge Dave fan here. I've been watching him for years. I remember when he was filming on the bookshelf. Now he's grown into a force to be reckoned with in the Bachelor world. Hilarious and has such a neutral point of view. Everyone will find a reason to love the guy. Oh, not everybody. Trust me. Not everybody. But let's be real. Behind every great man is an even greater woman. And Tasha is heaven sent. If you watch The Bachelor and are not totally in love with these two, what are you even doing with yourself? How kind. Thank you so much for that review. You can do that on Apple, on your Apple products. So many kind reviews. I can't get to them all. Thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. We're at 243 ratings and reviews on the Apple podcast. And hey, maybe we'll get to 300 this weekend. Just leave a review if you can. Listen anywhere you want. Link in the comment section. So, okay, let's get into this right now. Reality Steve has some wild predictions on how tonight's Bachelor in Paradise reunion show will go. Now, the reunion show, they call it a reunion. You know, they've been gone for a month and a half, 2 months. Of course, this was shot early summer. But who's still together? Who's not? We're going to discuss everything he knows now and what he expects might happen. So I'm going to play 2 clips from his podcast. Of course, go listen to his daily podcasts to get all that information. He has a whole lot more information than what I'm sharing here. But I do want to give you guys a couple of these clips, and then we'll sort of get into why he thinks certain things will go down and my thoughts on that. So if you have been living in a cave and haven't been familiar, Bachelor Nation star Greg Grippo and Victoria Fuller spark dating rumors. The rumors have been all over the place. They were spotted in Rome, and then she posted this kind of sexy little black dress number, and he responded, "Good girl." Some people said cringe. Some people said sexy. Either way, the cat is out of the bag. So we'll get into them in a second here. But yeah, this was the TikTok that started it all. And it says, when you are at the Coliseum and see Greg Grippo and Victoria Fuller from Bachelor Nation, and people were like, oh my gosh, could this be? And they said, we thought it was him. They didn't get any photo evidence. People said, no, it must have been Johnny, including myself. I was like, no way, it's him. And then Reality Steve showed this video of them at the Trevi Fountain in Rome. There they are, walking, clear as day them. For those that didn't believe, then there was a photo of them in a subway station. So for sure, it was them. They're together is our assumption. And here's what Reality Steve thinks about all of that.
About the taping itself. Here's something that interests me, and I think it interests a lot of people. Obviously, we know that the Victoria Fuller, Johnny DiFilippo, and Greg Grippo storyline is going to be talked about. There's no way they're going to avoid it. I guess the big question is, and we'll have an answer once this thing is done, because I'm sure I'm going to find out what happens, is does Greg Grippo show up to this thing? Now, I don't want the aggregators to say that Reality Steve said Greg Grippo is showing up. I have no idea if he's showing up. I will offer an opinion on if I think he will. And my opinion is, yeah, I think he's going to be there today.
All right, so very interesting. We're going to find this out so soon. We'll know by either later today or tomorrow. I'm for sure going to have a video as soon as we have this information about what went down. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the alert button. And I'll get back to Reality Steve in a second. But the question remains, will the Bachelor producers throw Victoria under the bus here? Now, they've done that before. If you guys don't remember, on Pilot Pete's season of The Bachelor, they threw Victoria Fuller pretty far under the bus. They brought on somebody who knew both Victoria and Peter to tell Peter that she was a homewrecker. They blurred out the person's face, but this was like a legit person that went on the TV show. I know people get a lot of criticism for things that are said in the gossip magazine. So the TV show brought someone on to throw Victoria under their bus. And here's some of the things that the person, I'm not even sure if this is the same person, but this is someone who knew both of them that spilt the tea to Us Weekly. I'm going to share it with you guys in a second here. Our first encounter was that she told me she was going to slash my tires because I was hanging out with one of her ex-boyfriends. Virginia Beach is a pretty small town. As time went on, I became friends with a girl who was best friends with Victoria, and so we all kind of started hanging out, and it just became more of like a forced friendship versus like I wouldn't like voluntarily go hang out with her. She added that it was definitely weird when she learned Victoria would be vying for her ex's heart on reality TV. Obviously, I had my moment because I'm like, you could possibly be with my ex-boyfriend, and that's a little weird, but like I never asked her to not go on the show. But we went out one night for our friend Audrey's birthday, and it turned into the Victoria Fuller show because it was 3 weeks out that she was about to leave for The Bachelor, and she just became a very self-centered person, and we were all out for our friend's birthday. So, again, nothing damning here. But somebody who dated Peter ended up becoming friends with Victoria and had choice words to say about her. So the fact that the show aired a lot of those, aired that, and brought some of that tea onto the show goes to show that they are not above doing what they need to do for ratings. And we know there are only a few people that are protected within the Bachelor community. The grocery store Joes, the Michaels, just the people that have received nothing but a good edit. Even though I'm sure everyone's doing the best with the information they can. Everyone's trying their best. But will the show protect Victoria or try to torch her in this moment? And we'll have to see how that all plays out.
Because I look at it this way. If the show was so cold to do Tino the way they did, sitting across from his ex-fiancée and just rolling Avon out there and not giving a shit about Tino's feelings, why wouldn't they put Greg Rippo on the show tonight?
It's a good question. My belief, and I don't know this, but my belief is that it was an accident that Tino was still on the stage when Avon showed up. It's my belief. And maybe that's just because I'm too optimistic to believe that anyone would do this to Tino. But it's my belief he was supposed to like leave, and then coming up next, Avon, and then it all kind of got meshed together. I could be wrong.
You know? They clearly don't care. They don't care that Victoria and Johnny broke up, and they don't care if Johnny's feeling hurt or whatnot. They know they've got such juice with this Victoria-Greg Rippo relationship that they'd be stupid not to use it and be stupid not to bring Greg on the show today. Again, this is just my opinion, but I think he's going to be there today. And they're going to bring him out on stage in some capacity.
And I guess the question then becomes, are Victoria and Greg that serious? Now, yeah, sure, they went to Rome, they did a few things together, but are they that serious that he's willing to go on? Now, the show might want him to go, but is he willing to go on and deal with that public ramifications? Because there's, for all of us that have been following these rumors, there's also a ton of people that just watch the show and they don't follow the behind the scenes, that they might not know any of this exists. So I don't know where Greg Rippo benefits unless he's willing to back Victoria in whatever story exists about their timeline. And as we've discussed already, the timeline we'll never know for sure, but clearly there was an end to a relationship with Johnny and Victoria and a start with Greg and Victoria. You don't just end a relationship, not talk to someone, and then end up in Rome together. Something happened in between. We'll probably never know the full detail there, but, kudos to them if they want to share their side and say, hey, no, the relationship with Johnny was dead, done. Then I moved on. That's fine. That's totally fine. I don't know if everyone's going to believe that.
Because they would be stupid not to. Why wouldn't they? Victoria and Greg are dating. And we see at the end of the season of Bachelor in Paradise that Victoria and Johnny got engaged, and they're going to have to talk about their breakup on stage.
So we'll have to see how that all plays out. Go listen to Reality Steve's full episode. I'm just going to play one more clip here from the 8:55 mark, or a little bit before then, to share some other spoiler updates for Bachelor in Paradise.
At this taping. 100%. Why wouldn't you? One other thing that I did hear heading into the taping, I know a lot of you have asked about couples and, what's the update on some of the couples. And, the main thing from the ending of the season that we know, there were two at the final couples, decision day, whatever you want to call it. We know that 2 got engaged, 2 broke up, and 2 left as couples. The 2 that got engaged, Brandon and Serene, Johnny and Victoria. We know Brandon and Serene still together, still engaged. Johnny and Victoria clearly have broken up. The 2 that broke up were Logan and Kate and Aaron and Genevieve. And then the 2 couples that left as a couple were Michael and Danielle, who are still together, and Tyler and Brittany, who are no longer together. So those are the 6. However, I did hear about one couple, and you will see this happen at the taping today. I've heard that Jill and Jacob are trying to make things work. Now, I don't know I know the logistics of where both of them live, and that's kind of got to be tough, but I do know that they are in touch, they are into each other, and they're trying to make it work.
All right, so that's interesting. So we've got, 5 couples to be looking out for. Of course, my favorite right now is Michael and Danielle. I want to see them out in the open, sharing their love. Of course, they're going to get probably a good following boost from people that want to see how that works out. And what goes on moving forward with Johnny and Victoria. All these questions remain to be seen, but we'll get the information out to you guys for sure. There will be content out this weekend on the YouTube channel, so make sure to be subscribed and have your alerts on, ready for that. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to join the podcast. It's free. Go to the comment section, and you can click the link in the link tree, and it'll tell you all the different podcast apps from Google Podcasts we're now on, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. It's everywhere. Just search Bachelor Rush Hour wherever you listen to podcasts. If you do have an iPhone, even if you listen on Spotify, can you give me a good rating and review on the iPhone app and hit the follow button? That'll help us in the charts as we continue to try to grow our little following. All right, folks, more content coming to your way. We'll see you in a minute.